the February 4th meeting agenda. Did you want
Want me to do it now? You want to
Yes.
talk about Pledge of Allegiance?
We can do it after the Pledge of Allegiance. Supervisor Gross, would you please do that?
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, things I'd like to ask of the board and then notify the public. One is we'd like to pull 3.2 from the agenda today, if we may. And then the two other is on February 11th, which is, I believe, next Tuesday. We'll be having a board meeting discussing the EIR and asking board for direction for the EIR. And then our regular board meeting will not be on the 18th, it will be on the 19th because it follows the holiday.
Thank you, sir. I hope you all could hear that. Yes. Do we have a time on the 11th meeting,
Yes.
sir?
We've discussed 10 o'clock, but it will be posted, but I think we've been discussing starting at 10 o'clock.
Thank you. So following that, this is public comment time. This time is for information from the public on matters not appearing on this agenda. All comments are limited to 3 minutes and must pertain to matters within the jurisdiction of this board. When addressing the board, please state your name for the record and address the board as a whole through the chair. No action or discussion will be conducted on matters not listed on the agenda. However, the chair may refer to the subject matter to the appropriate department for follow-up or schedule the matter on a subsequent board agenda. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Supervisors, staff. I'd like to touch on a couple issues that have been lingering for over a year now, and that is that our county has no ordinance to provide for a commercial cannabis processing license. It's a state license type that's available in every other county that's doing this, and it's a real sore spot for it to be missing here. Along with that, a social equity ordinance for commercial cannabis licensees and counties and cities that are offering commercial cannabis licensing. An equity ordinance would allow us to apply for state grants. Humboldt County got a sweet $8 million dropped in their lap over the summer to administer through their equity ordinance. Mendocino's got one being cooked up right now. City of San Francisco, City of Oakland, City of Palm Beach. An equity ordinance is really important because if we had one here, our equity licensees would have access to equity retail store shelf space down in Southern California. Many of these equity licensees on the retail end only want to deal with equitably produced product, and it's going to be huge. The entire state of Illinois just went all equity. The state of New Jersey is going all equity applicants. It's really important we get something like that here. Also, a retail ordinance. It's been sorely missing in Trinity County for a long, long time. I was at a social gathering over the weekend where 4 out of 8 people at the gathering had all purchased cannabis products from licensed retailers in the last week from either Arcata, Shasta Lake, or City of Redding, and these are all Trinity County residents. It's a shame they couldn't purchase products here. And in order to get to a retail ordinance and to make our non-storefront retail license actually work here, it's currently in violation of our personal grow ordinance. Our personal grow ordinance allows for no dispensing, no collective, no cooperative, no aggregate grows, and is a real problem and needs to be adjusted. I think before the supervisors take up the matters in 3.2 that just got removed from the agenda, we really need to take a look at the personal grow ordinance and likely drop it altogether. The state attorney general has recently dropped new guidelines for medical grows and medical providers, care providers. It'd be great if we could look at these issues here coming up. And in lieu of not having
John,
an
your
ad
3
hoc,
minutes is up, and that's it. Sorry.
we need somebody at the county to take
Thank you.
responsibility for these
Appreciate it.
items. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Hey, Graves from Lewiston. I have, over the years I've been here, I have requested for the board to show their authority to enforce county code on private property. I've even done Public Record Act requests, and the authority has never been shown. There's court cases that outline that the Board of Supervisors cannot enforce county code on private property. They can only enforce it on county property. And yet, what you are going to do to us today has been in the works since 2013, when we had a huge meeting. When you found out your code enforcement manual was illegal because it was underground regulation, yet Derek Cole wrote it up in our initiative summary, which you guys sued us over, as underground utilities, because your legal counsel is just that brilliant. So that's when you learned what underground regulations were, and you had a meeting to change your manual because it was just that illegal. And now you guys are just going to march on with what you were going to do today, and I'm glad it was pulled. It should have never shown up. And what you guys are doing to us is illegal, besides being immoral. I don't care if people think, oh, they're going after cannabis or they're going after illegal cannabis, but I'll tell you what, there's people that already know that you go after, and it says in your, I ask people to read the ordinance, it says any code enforcement violation. So anything you do, you don't get your roof permitted, you don't get your permission from the government to re-roof your house, that's a code enforcement violation. On and on and on. I suggest people go read at the county website, the code enforcement violations. It's a huge laundry list that's everything, and people should go read it, because that is what you enforce code violations on, and it's completely illegal. I'm requesting again that the Board of Supervisors, because you haven't done it with the Public Record Act request, that you agendize it, and that someone, preferably not your county council, because they're so entwined in this, but somebody, go get somebody with legal knowledge to show us where the Board of Supervisors has authority to enforce county code on private property.
I'm Thomas Fox of District 2, one of the people of the United States, the sovereign of the Republic under common law. I'm here to talk about that 3.2 that you put off. It is criminal. It's not only unconstitutional, but it's chargeably unconstitutional. The people of the United States have a right to life, liberty, and property. This is an infringement on property rights. All federal and state laws indicate that statutes, codes, and ordinances have no standing on private property. To move forward with this, each and every one of you will be violating your oath of office. And I love the federal courtroom. Thank you.
Jim Stillwell out of Hayesport, California. I've been up here before this board, I think 15 times trying to get my concerns put on the agenda. I'm requesting today that you put it on the agenda again. According to this Constitution, State of California 2017-18 edition, they have to send notice by written letter by California certified engineer of how much it's going to be, what it's going to be used for, how long it's going to be. If I'd had any idea that they were going to buy the Hayesport Clinic over there with money that we've been spending on taxes or assessments that are illegally charged against us, according to the California Constitution, the private citizens cannot charge taxes to the public. And that's a violation of the California Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. All these zoning ordinances that you're creating or having your planning commission create that are going against private property are illegal, unconstitutional, and they should be shut down. You should have a special meeting here to go through them and shut them down. Thank you.
John Letton, Douglas City. Morning, Madam Chairman, members of the board. First, a surprise. I agree with what John Brower said. I just want to lead off with that. And secondly, you'll recall that at the last board meeting, there was an item on the agenda for a presentation by ACP. And when it appeared that the chair was not going to call for public comment before the presentation, I stood up and asked if the public comment would be allowed before or after. And the response was neither one. And so it proceeded. The board asked some questions of the presenters, and so be it. This, I think that was wrong. I think it was a violation of the Brown Act, but I don't mean to make a big deal out of it. It's really sort of no harm, no foul. Everybody got a fair amount of information, primarily through questions that Supervisor Groves asked. And just by way of the way that sort of question has been handled by the board in the past, you'll recall what I consider rather weird Brown Act 101 presentation the County Council put on some months back. So my point really is not to chastise the chair, not at all. But I really think that we need to reevaluate the source of legal advice that the board gets. There's been one lawsuit after another, some of which I think could have been avoided, one of which I know could have been avoided, and that was the TAA lawsuit. Now, whether or not that was a product of bad legal advice, I have no way of knowing. But I urge the board to reevaluate the source of legal advice that you're now getting. Just for the heck of it, I contacted the Attorney General's office and asked them if they had any, well, actually I knew they had a handbook on the Brown Act, so I asked them to send me some, and boy, they've got plenty of them down there. They sent me more than I asked for. So I'm going to hand over 5 of those to the clerk, and the board can have, it's pretty old. It was published in 2003. Not too much has changed since then. Another source of information is one put out by the League of California Cities. It's much better. I only got one of those, but call them and you can get one from them too. I'll hand them to the clerk.
Is there any more public comment?
Good morning, Chair, Supervisors. I'm here today before you to ask for an agenda item. It's been asked recently, and I would have already thought it'd be on the agenda, but I'm hoping to see a discussion about the personal grow ordinance. That's number 797, and I brought the copies for you guys. Read through it recently, kind of a tour through history. It has a, has a real antiquated feel to it, if you ask me. But I'll be giving copies of those to you guys. I'm sure you've all read it before, but it has some errors. And I think we should probably address it before we address item 3.2. So I do agree with pretty much everyone else that item 3.2 is probably premature. I also brought copies, the 10 copies of the Attorney General guidelines for medical cannabis. This was issued over the summer. Medical's still in play, and the guidelines are here, and I'll give you a chance to read those. They allow for what I would consider to be the true mom and pop of Trinity a chance to actually continue to live here. We're worried about outside groups coming in and blowing the scene up, you know, and throwing down large acreage. I don't see why we wouldn't want to try and support the small farms. You know, 30 plants is not that much. And it's medically based too, so there's benefits for the community in so many ways. And I think they've been left behind. You know, like when I read the staff report for item 3.2, it talks about despite the availability of a legal pathway, they insist that these illegal cannabis sites persist in Trinity County. Well, they may not be illegal under the guidelines. We don't even give them a chance in the county. So unless you want to have some really mixed messaging going out and having ordinances with onerous fines in them coming down, I would think that maybe we should tell the public and talk about having just a medical grow ordinance that does fit personal grow ordinance under the guidelines from the Office of the Attorney General. So that would seem to make more sense. Then if we want to go ahead and look at 3.2 in the future, that's fine, but if you look at the staff report, it looks like its own ordinance almost. And not anywhere is there any mention in the draft ordinance of cannabis, but it's all about cannabis in the staff report. They even use disturbed area for the matrix of fines. Land disturbed area. I mean, it reads like might have land use implications. Maybe have to go through planning. Probably has some CEQA implications too. And I look forward to a broader discussion, but kind of throwing it in there, I don't think that most citizens of the county realize what 3.2 was about. It's about cannabis because it wasn't anywhere in the heading and the agenda. You can kind of drill in because it's not an ordinance either. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. There's a whole number of things that I'd love to talk about. 3 minutes really isn't long enough. You know, as everybody knows, Olivia and I were part of getting rated and charged for having a licensed grow. Last night I got some information that I wanted to share with everybody in the public that made me feel really positive. It sounds like we don't have a cannabis department anymore. There's no staff left in it. I don't know how that works, how it operates. I've been pretty quiet about this, honestly, for a long time. At the request of Richard and Margaret, who in a meeting with my attorney and I said, "You're right, we were wrong, we screwed up. Our only request is that you keep your mouth shut." You can laugh, you can treat us with disrespect, Margaret. There were attorneys in the room with you. This isn't what I'm here to talk about, okay? What I'm here to talk about is that I would request any of the members of the board to stand up for your constituents, okay? Not just the 5 constituents that are retired and that can show up to every meeting and can call you and can badger you and can make you feel like you won't be reelected if you support the rest of your community. I would ask any one of the members of this board to agendize cutouts for code enforcement on marijuana in any district that requests it by a vote. If there can be carve-outs to not allow people to have licensed grows in certain districts, there should be carve-outs to not have the same county codes apply to enforcing unlicensed grows. These are just county codes. These aren't state laws. This is county codes. I have never in my life seen a bigger failure of any program to then see, I passed a code enforcement truck today. One of the nicest trucks I had passed on the road from Hayfork driving down here was a Trinity County code enforcement truck that honestly I thought was owned by a sports drink company because of the decaling and all of the money spent on making this thing look cool and flashy. You guys took millions of dollars out of the pockets of the most honest hardest working people in cannabis in this county who came forward from day one, and it's all gone. You don't have anything to show for it. You don't have any of the money left over. You don't even have any employees left in the program. One of the only employees left in the program is running for a seat on this board because he can't stand by and watch this happen anymore. Something has to change. I know that this board's changing. These same faces will not be here very shortly. We're hearing the opposition say that all this stuff is being done illegally, that he's a judge. He just agreed with John Brower about something. This should be the biggest wake-up call in Trinity County's history. There are so many more lawsuits coming down the pipe.
Okay, you have 3 minutes to set up.
I understand that.
Thank you.
But this is not gonna end. These are gonna keep coming. We're gonna sue over everything because it's the only thing you guys understand, is getting sued and losing money.
Liam Golden, Dover City. I just wanted to concur with John about the 3.2. I think it should be pulled and looked at. It's important to them. It's something that we should look at. Also, as I think the last couple of people said, the ACP presentation that was here a couple of weeks ago, whether it's a Brown Act violation, I don't know if it is or not, but I think the courtesy to the people in this room would have been to just open it to public comment, just as a courtesy. I don't think it's against the law. I don't know the Brown Act that well, but I think we could at least open it up to the people. And as far as the last gentleman that was up here spoke about lawsuits to come, there's going to be plenty of them. And I would definitely look to where we get our county council at. It's not working right now. We're paying too much. We're getting sued an awful lot. It's time to take a real hard look at that and see if we can possibly save some money in that direction there. And that would be my wishes. Thank you very much.
I'm not gonna let it down. Thank you, Liam.
Seeing no more public comment, we'll return it back to the board. Moving on to consent calendar. These items include routine, non-controversial matters and will be acted upon the board by one roll call motion. A member of the board, staff, or public may request an item pulled and considered separately. Staff? No? Public?
1.5.
I would be looking to entertain a motion.
Second.
Moved in second.
Supervisor Finley?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris? Yes. Supervisor Brooks? Aye. Supervisor Brown? Aye. Supervisor Chadwick?
Aye. Board. Item 1.4.
Madam Chair, I will recuse off item 1.4.
Item 1.4, find no objection to the issuance of daily alcoholic beverage license to E-Campus Vitus Clampers Chapter 62 to serve alcoholic beverages at the dinner to be held at the CD Hall in Weaverville, California on February 29, 2020. No fiscal impact. Any public comment? Seeing none, move it back to the board. I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. I'll propose
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Please allow Mr. Groves back into the... Dr. Coons, would you like to read this, please?
Well, this is to
You want to read it?
Not really, but I will. Approve amendment number 2 to the agreement with Rodney Craig Goodman Jr. to increase the maximum cost to $75,000 minimum scope of service and extend the term to September 30th, 2022 to provide assistance in developing the annual budget for the county and perform a countywide fee study. I'd be happy to answer questions about it.
Does the board have any questions?
That's a question.
Okay, from the public. Thank you, Justin.
Justin Hawkins from Hayport. Yes, I was just, I mean, obviously a fee study for cannabis is well overdue. I think even within our regulations, it was supposed to have already been done some time ago. And I'm just wondering, you know, more or less, is cannabis going to be paying for its own fee study and everybody else is coming out of the general fund, and how it's being paid for, or is each department paying for it? And I just hope that if we're going to go ahead and finally do a fee study, especially on cannabis, a lot of people want to know where kind of the money's always gone. And it's been going on for so many years, we've never actually had an actual accounting, so inquiring minds want to know. And I really think that the data should be available for public review, because if it's not, I think it's going to be requested one way or the other, and it's going to get looked at by independent parties and analyzed, just heads up. I think that's fair to say. So I look forward to some more information, and probably, you know, it'd be interesting to see how the program's actually administered in its entirety. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Koontz, would you like to?
Yes, the first answer to your question is no. Cannabis is not paying for this. This is out of general fund. It was budgeted during the 1920 fund. Regarding will it be available to the public? Absolutely yes. Mr. Goodman is not only an attorney, but he's a CPA, so I have no concerns of any viewing of his study. It will be done professionally because he's a professional. And it will encompass the entire county. We'll be looking at everything from solid waste fees to cannabis fees to planning fees. It's been long overdue, and I would think it's something the public would absolutely support, because it's come to this board many, many times about transparency, and this will give complete transparency as to what we receive and what we're spending it on.
Thank you. Any more public comment? No? Bring it back to the board.
Motion to approve 5 to 1. I have a question.
So we will have a mid-year budget coming.
Yes.
And at mid-year budgets, we take time to delve into costs if people also ask.
Yes, we will be measuring our revenues to point and projecting out where our revenues are headed, and also the costs we've incurred, whether they're at 50%, 70%, so we report to the board where a lot of our costs are, where our concerns are.
So remind me, every year that we've had our budget items where we've set upwards of 24 hours to explain to the public what's going on, how many times have we had people talk to ask us questions about cannabis?
None.
Thank you.
I'm sure the public could hear that, but the answer is none.
Sure. Motion to approve 1.5 as presented.
Second. Moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving along to reports and announcements. Report from department heads. Do we have any department heads?
Hello, members of the board, members of the public, and fellow staff members. I'm Kim Hunter, I'm the planning and building director. So there have been quite a few comments made this morning with the public, and you say there is definite concern, and I feel the energy in the air. So here I am to report, yes, we did have a resignation in our department. Deputy Director of Planning, Leslie Hubbard, her last day will be the 21st.
Best news I've heard all year.
There have been other resignations in the department. We're definitely going through transition period. And in each of our departments, we're down a person in building, we're down quite a few positions now in cannabis, and we have a very, very limited planning staff. There's 2 of us. We've been without administrative support for several months. So yes, there is concern, but we will get through this. We will do the best we can. I'll be working closely with the CAO's office and county council to find out the best solutions. Not saying it's going to be rosy, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to be a challenge, but we will get through this, and we will make our program better, our commercial cannabis program, our land use policies, but it is going to take time. But already this morning, been looking at also working with HR department, Shelley Nelson, getting recruitments flowing. Now, it will take some time, even when those positions are filled, to get people trained and into the groove to, move the program forward. All of our programs, I'm not just speaking about cannabis. Our planning program is in need of quite a bit of TLC right now. It's been put on kind of the back burner while cannabis, the focus has been on the cannabis program. So there's a lot of things going on, but we will get through it. I have good staff, the staff that's left there. We do have staff in cannabis, and doing the best we can. But I did want to answer any questions that you may have.
Nope. Just to thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for everybody's patience on this.
Any more staff members or department heads, excuse me? We'll move on.
Nothing to report.
Reports from members of boards. Judy?
Let's see, like mid-January, I attended NCRP ad hoc portion I chair for the $4 million block grant that we received, not as a county, but as a region, with the state on what they're expecting on how we develop that program and that money for technical assistance that will go out hopefully in 6 months. And that's it for out of county travels.
I'm trying
You want me to go to Jeremy?
to, I don't see any out-of-county travel.
On the 23rd of January, I visited Nortec down in Chico. That's my out-of-county travel.
No out-of-county travel for the last 2 weeks. One meeting here in Weaverville for the community stakeholders group.
Did you want to share about the fire chiefs, fire safety council and?
Oh yeah, we get to go to the fire safety council meeting in Weaverville as well. I talked about the governor's forest management task force group. They are looking for county representatives. I believe at the next board meeting that item will be agendized.
Okay. So I was at the same meeting with Jeremy, and then last night the fire chiefs. There were a lot of people in attendance, and we had extra people last night, so it was very well attended. So going on with the report from ad hoc committees, the federal lands legislation. Anybody want to chime in on that?
Jeremy, you had some items that you wanted to talk about last time.
Yeah, so Keith and I looked over a nice bullet point breakdown of some of the items on the bill, and we kind of wanted to go through it and highlight items that we felt were supported and, from the community, and items that are not, in our opinion, supported by the community, and then kind of dive deeper into the bullet points and the issues of those items specifically, so we can at least focus on some of the concerns of the bill that the county has and individuals have. So I think by the next board meeting, we'll be able to give a breakdown of that and what, at least what we feel in our eyes is supported or not supported by the public in the county. We discussed the federal lands exchange, and I know some people are still waiting on maps to identify federal lands within their districts, where we could do exchanges as part of this bill. So that's the ongoing bill activity. It's not likely, I got a little report from RCRC, and it's not likely that the bill is going to go anywhere with the House being, or the Senate being as it is. So that's where we're at.
So just to follow up on the maps, Millie and I talked to Chief of Staff John Driscoll under Congressman Huffman, and she is going to be putting together a cost analysis for the maps that I've requested. Apparently it's outside. I was supposed to have them by today to share that. That information hasn't come forward. So when I get them, I will go through Dr. Coons, and then you'll probably receive an email, and we'll see from there where we go. I did not realize that we were going to have to pay money for the maps. So I apologize for not knowing that. So that concludes our reports. Yes.
I thought those maps were just coming from our own GIS for our districts. Just so it
Apparently
has,
there's a cost for that now. So,
meaning out of
to-
the RCD?
No, to the county. So that was what I was told, and I asked them to give me a bid, and I will get that information to Dr. Coons.
So you mean out of the RCD, who they have a contract with us
Yes.
and charging us?
Yes. That's
Okay.
what I was informed. It was news to
Typically
me.
isn't the case, but all right.
It was news to me. So when I get that, I will forward it to Dr. Coons.
Okay.
So moving on to county matters.
No,
No, thank you. And what page am I? County matters. These items include non-routine or controversial matters and are listed in alphabetical by department. A member of the board or staff may request that an item be heard out of order. Board?
Nope.
Staff, is there any reason to move these forward out of order? No? Okay. So, go for the board. Item 3.1, waive a provision 2C of the county fee waiver policy, find that the Lewiston Sparky's Old Lewiston Peddlers Fair provide a benefit to the public and approve the Lewiston Sparky's application for waiver of the county fees, waiving the solid waste fees in the amount of $470. Potential loss of revenue to the solid waste department in the amount of $470.
Good morning. I'm Patty Ryan. I'm from Lewiston and president of the Lewiston Sparky. Good morning, everyone.
Could you step a little closer and pull the mic? Thank you. Sure. Thank you.
Now it sounds like it's working. The Sparkies are a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, and everyone who works for does events for the Sparkies are volunteers and unpaid. In 2018, there was no Peddlers Fair because there weren't enough volunteers to put it on. The Sparkies were asked to take it over, and we did last year, and so we're going forward with that. Our goal for this year, and probably take more than 1 year, is to raise over $30,000 to provide an adequate generator and some rewiring for the fire station, because we want to be able to provide a clean air center that is air conditioned during fires and during the summer for local residents to be able to go for free and be able to have clean air and not fake, like now in the community center they have clean air but no air conditioning. Also, it would provide heating in the winter, so when there's no power, people would be able to come and have a place to be warm when it's like 22 degrees in the mornings. Also, it would provide reliable power for our local firefighters and for the firefighters who come to help us from all other different regions. So we think it's a really important project that we're working for. Last year, in the first year of doing the Peddlers Fair, the Sparkies netted about $4,500. This year, the cost of insurance and porta potties and all the other things that you have gone up a little bit. Last year, the county was kind enough to waive the expense for the trash bins, and it would really help us to continue to do that. The benefits to the county of the fair are actually quite substantial. The Sparkies advertise all around the North State, and we get several thousand people that attend the Peddlers Fair. It promotes tourism for the area. It helps local businesses. It increases the sales tax amount that the county gets, so there's a little bit of money that the county gets reimbursed that way. Also, the community organizations in Lewiston work together to put on the event, including the Sparkies, the Moose, and the Lions. And the Moose has a big car show the same day, so it's really quite a big deal for the county and for the Lewiston area. We hope the county will waive the fees for the bins so we can make a little bit more money, and we will be sure that our volunteers pick up all the trash and put it in the bins where it belongs. Thank you.
I just wanted to note that it appears that the amount on the agenda is wrong. It should be 736, not 400.
Noted. 7-3.
736, not 470. Just want to make sure that correction is made.
Thank you, Margaret. Any public comment? Seeing none, I move it back to the board.
I will move to pass 3.1 as presented with the change in the note.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Human Resources, item 3.3, approve a master memorandum of understanding with the Trinity County General Unit establishing salaries and benefits subject to routing as to form and content. Approximately, I'll let you read these.
I'm sorry, where did you leave it?
It's just the approximate from the amounts.
Okay, so approximately $2,178,681 for the 5-year agreement. Of that, $611,759 will be from the general fund and $1,566,921 from the other funding sources that are non-general fund.
Thank you.
So, I have a list here. So starting with the general unit, we are requesting approval of a 5-year memorandum of understanding with the general unit defining certain compensation and benefits. Through the staff report, I have everything well listed out, but just to kind of touch base on each item, the term would be from July 1, 2019, so retrospective to July 1st, through June 30th, 2024. There is a section on county deducting dues, which we just revised, compensation and benefits on salary. Salary increases would be commencing and retroing back to July 1st, 2019. I have a spreadsheet that's attached that defines all the classifications, what they would be receiving, but to just sort of highlight, we would be providing 85% of the class and compensation to non-general fund classifications, and any classification that is funded by general fund or is a classification that crosses all departments that could have multiple facets, they're going to be implemented at 65%. The county and union also agreed to meet and confer regarding implementation of the additional 15% for those general fund classifications if additional funding sources become realized during the term of the contract. Section 3, there will be a COLA. All employee classifications shall receive 1.5% cost of living adjustment on July 1 of 2022 and 1.5 on July 1, 2023. Medical life insurance, I don't know if you want me to read through all the details of this, or
No.
we have it all spelled out in the staff report. And some changes to retiree medical insurance. The opt-out provisions for cash in lieu that we've had, we will continue those for employees that were hired prior ratification, but any of those hired after ratification, that would no longer be offered. There is a total county medical contribution cap that through the term of the contract, it could never exceed $850 that the county would be contributing. Reimbursement for tuition was increased from $250 to $500 per fiscal year. Standby on-call compensation has been, we've included, a couple different classifications that were not included prior, and those are behavioral health services case manager 1, 2, and transit driver. And then the classification portion, we are still working through that, so we are agreeing to continue meet and confer and implement changes to those at a later date. And we are removing the classifications that are listed in the staff report. These are positions that have not been filled in, my goodness, very, very long time, and nobody sees the need for doing that. And then I listed a breakdown of all the fiscal impacts per fiscal year of the contracts.
Thank you. Any public comment?
Okay, Grace from Lewiston, I would like to have the term subject to routing as to form and content explained. I know Wendy Tyler, when she was acting as CAO, explained it, but I would like to hear it again. Thank you.
Council?
Would you like me to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
There is a routing process that takes place within the county. It goes through county council, HR, or risk management. It also goes to the auditor's office and the CA's office to make sure that we've all looked at the parts that are pertinent to our specific classifications. Once we do that, we do sign off on it to confirm that it meets the standard, whether it be risk management standard, budgetary standard, or legal standard.
Any other comments from the public? Not seeing any. Board, do you have any questions? I have one, Shelley. How long have you been working on this?
I think I stated December of 2018. We've been meeting and conferring over that amount of
I
time.
know you've had a lot of hours and a lot of people working hard. Thank you.
On both sides.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm very happy that we've met a successful agreement.
Thank you. Board?
Ready for a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion to approve 3.3 as presented, approve master of memorandum of understanding with the Trinity County General Unit.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on, item 3.4, approve a master memorandum of understanding with the Trinity County Management and Confidential Unit establishing salaries and benefits subject to routing as to form and contact.
Let me read the
Yes.
fiscal. Approximately $1,066,130,000 for the 6-year agreement, of which $399,775 from the general fund and $666,355 from other funding sources. Okay. So similarly, we've been meeting and conferring since December 2018. The major provisions of this 6-year agreement excuse me, is the term would be retro July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2025. We're recognizing some additional classifications that have been excuse me, added by the board during the past few years, so we're just wanting to make sure they were recognized in the MOU. Rights of parties are similar to the general unit. We're just adding, how the county would be deducting employee payroll warrants, etc. Compensation and benefits, salary increases commencing July 1 of 2019. Again, there is a spreadsheet that defines each and every classification, and similarly to the general unit, we're providing 85% for non-general fund classification, funded classifications. And for those that are funded by general fund or are a classification that is spread out in all of these fields, they would be receiving 65% of class and comp. And there is a reopener if additional funding is received to discuss increasing the 65 to 15% to meet that 80 at a later time. All employee classifications on the 6-year term will receive COLAs 1.5% July 1 of 2021, 1.5% July 1, 2022, and 1.5% on July 2023. Medical, dental, employee medical insurance, the retiree medical insurance, all of these are exactly like what we're offering the general, and they've all accepted, including the employee life, vision, and dental. There is cash in lieu is the same. The total county medical contribution cap is the same at $850. Standby on-call pay, we have added the following classifications, which are the Behavioral Health Services Triage Manager and the Behavioral Health Services Deputy Director of Clinical Services. We've added license and certification costs. These have been already covered in the past, but we wanted to define them definitively in the MOU, so they are listed here. And I have broken out the fiscal year for the 6-year term from what I had originally listed, what they are per year. Do you have any other questions of me?
Any public comment or questions? Seeing none, we'll get back to the board. Pleasure to report.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good job, Shelley. Thank you.
Number 3.
Pardon?
I said number 3. Go ahead.
Well, 3.5. Approve a master memorandum of understanding with the Trinity County Probation Peace Officers Association establishing salaries and benefits, subject to routing as to form and on cap.
So approximately $7,728 for fiscal year 1920 and $15,766 for fiscal year 2021 from the general fund. So we are also had been meeting with the Probation Peace Officers Association since December 2018. There is a short term of only 2 years. This is being retro to July 1, 2019 to June 30th, 2021. We did the same rights of parties as we've done in the previous MOUs. Compensation and benefits. The only increases that will be received at this time are COLAs. Let's see, 2% commencing January 1st of 20 and 2% on January 1st of 2021. The only classification that received a increase as of right now is one that's listed on spreadsheet A, and it's to make them compliant with the new minimum wage. They are an exempt employee. Salary increases. Okay, so medical life insurance is the same as the other 2 units, as is retiree medical. The employee life insurance, the opt-out provision is the same. Total county medical contribution cap is the same. They have increased their uniform allowance from $800 to $1,000 annually. And we are still working on the classifications as well, so we will be meeting and conferring to continue on that and bring that back at a later date.
Thank you. Any public comment?
I'm just curious why it's doubling. It goes from 7,000 to 15,000. I'm just curious.
Because this particular one is only for half a year, the first year. It's going into effect
Oh.
January 1st instead of July.
Thank you, Shelley. Board, any questions?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Item 3.6, Shelley, I want to say thank you from the board and to the teams on both sides. I really appreciate all your hard work. 3.6, adopt a resolution which establishes non-represented general classification salaries and benefits effective July 1st, 2019.
So this is actually a resolution. There are a small group of employees who, because of their job duties, are unable to be members of an employee bargaining unit. Therefore, they have no collective bargaining abilities, and currently there are 9 employees within this group. Historically, these employees have been provided the same level of salary increases and benefits of their represented counterparts. This resolution before you for consideration does just that. Classifications, what we have done is we wanted to recognize that the Veteran Service Officer was removed. And the Grants Coordinator 1, Grants Coordinator 2, and Housing Program Coordinators have been added, which were previously approved by the board in the past. Salary increases that they shall receive similar as the general unit, and there is a spreadsheet that's attached listing those classifications. COLA is 1.5% effective July 1 of 2022 and 1.5% on July 1, 2023. Medical life insurance, retiree medical insurance, employee life insurance, the opt-out cash in lieu provisions, and the medical contribution gap are all the same, and I've listed the breakout of the fiscal impacts over these next 5 years, and the reimbursement for tuition has also been increased from $250 to $500 per fiscal year.
Any public comment? Seeing none, move it back to the board.
Motion to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
Supervisor Finley?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Aye.
Supervisor Brown?
Aye.
Supervisor Childs?
Aye. Item 3.7, adopt a resolution which establishes non-represented management classification, salaries, and benefits effective July 1st, 2019.
Approximately $30,530 for fiscal year 1920 through 24-25 from the general fund. So similarly to the last item, there are a small group of employees who, because of their job duties, are unable to be members of an employee bargaining unit. Therefore, they have no collective bargaining abilities. Currently, there are only 3 employees within this group of positions. Historically, these employees have been provided the same level of salary increase and benefits of their represented counterparts. And this resolution before you, that's just that. Specifically, the county would increase the salaries as follows, which is demonstrated on the attached spreadsheet A. COLA for this is 1.5% on July 1, 2021, 1.5% on July 1, 2022, and 1.5% on 2023. Also, the medical life insurance, retiree medical insurance, life insurance, vision, dental coverages, opt-out provisions for cash in lieu, and the medical contribution caps are all similar as the previous. We added the holiday pay, which was added a couple years ago, but somehow got missed on the prior resolution, so just wanted to reflect that December 24th was an official holiday. And then the fiscal impacts are broken out for each 6 of the fiscal years where they would be receiving compensation.
Thank you. Public comment? Seeing none, move it back to the board.
Motion to adopt the resolution as presented.
Second.
Supervisor Brooks?
Aye.
Supervisor Finley?
Aye.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
Supervisor Brown?
Aye.
Supervisor Childs?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
And I'd like to thank Shelley, her negotiating team, and also the representatives of the employees unions, because Shelley was able to, except for one, receive 5- and 6-year agreements, which is outstanding, and it really makes, from a budget standpoint, the county able to kind of prepare each year what we're looking at. So I think being able to extend those agreements is wonderful, and I want to thank her and her team. I also want to thank the staff for everything they did.
Thank you, Sean. I don't know if CAO Coons missed his board, didn't have anything for the board report, but I have a question for him, so I can ask him now or in this upcoming item.
Go ahead.
So, Rich, I don't know if you just said you didn't have any report, but I wanted to ask something. When 3.2 comes back, and I would like an analysis from 2015 on the code enforcement, citations and what was resolved, and cannabis and non-cannabis. And of the cannabis citations, I'd like to know what was turned into those folks jumping into our program, because that is a byproduct. So I'd like a little bit of analysis in the board report whenever that comes back.
So those who receive fines, the result of those coming into Let's make sure I got it coming into the program.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see overall numbers for each year since 2015. And I'd like to see, of course, there's the non-cannabis ones, but those that are cannabis related, those that ended up paying their fines and then becoming licensed. So I'd like to see that for each year.
Okay.
Okay. And also, do we know when retail will come before us? I think it would have to go to the PC prior. Right, do we have any idea on that?
We have a almost finished product, and I'll be working with Kim to expect that to see if we can get to that as shortly as possible. I do have a product that is, I would think, is almost complete.
Okay. Right, and then, of course, for the public's knowledge, it would certainly have to go to the planning commission first.
Is it with the land use? Is it with it?
I assume.
Yes, it would. Okay.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we'd rather do normal.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
No problem. Moving on to item 3.8, approve amendment number 1 to the agreement with Richard Coons, increasing the annual salary amount by $10,500 to serve as a county administrative officer for Trinity County, an additional $10,500 per year from the administration. Any public comment? Not seeing any, moving it back to the board.
Chair, you want to say something?
I want to say thank you for a job well done. I was thinking you guys would want to say it and I'd go last, but
Well, I would just concur with what you're saying. Thank you, Richard. It's been a fast and furious 2 years, I'm sure, for you, but thank you for the various work you've done and added to our organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
No, I appreciate the hard work that's gone on and the stability that you brought to the organization. And so I hope to have you around for a long time.
I would enjoy that.
I'm just glad you're
I hope the unanimous vote reflects how we feel.
I move to approve.
Second.
and all those in favor?
Well, you can
Yeah.
have a discussion.
Yeah, I can say it after that.
Okay.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Got your unanimous.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you, on not just for the board, but for the whole county, and it's nice to have you at the helm.
Thank you.
We all appreciate it. So we're moving into closed session. Yeah, Government Code Section 54954.5C, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, number of cases, 1. Is there any public comment?
Kate Graves from Lewiston. Since you don't tell us what the case is, which I disagree with because you must have an idea of what it is because it's anticipated litigation, there's no way for us to know if the people that attend this closed session are appropriate to attend this closed session. So I'll use the example of Supervisor John Finley's tax. I don't know the name of it. I could call it the TAA tax or something like that, but whatever it is, it's being litigated. If that is what is on the agenda, then Board of Supervisor members need to recuse themselves. They should state why now before they recuse themselves. I would say that other members of your staff should recuse themselves because they're directly involved with allowing your elections officer to illegally put something on the ballot after the board voted no. And shame on the board members who voted yes. They're doing nothing to follow the law. I mean, I've never seen, what are you guys, chair cushions? You guys are up there for a reason. And for you to allow your staff, i.e. county council, to tell you that it's just courtesy to bring this to you, it's not, it's the law. You've heard it before. Even if you don't know it's the law, you'll be held accountable for it because ignorance of the law is not a defense. And I'm just saying that the transparency here is non-existent, and you need to change your mission statement, though I think it's funny to pass it around and we all have a good laugh about it, but you need to change your mission statement. And you need to be disclosing what it is, and recusing needs to happen now in the public. Thank you.
Any further comments from the public? Seeing none, we will go into closed session, but we're going to take a 15-minute break.
That would last you to
10 minutes.
Thank you.
We'll resume at 10:15.
Perfect.
Thank you.